Hi guys, this is Kosha. You have been seeing me in the snippets of the YouTube videos that I have been uploading. I mean, honestly, I've just uploaded two. But I just wanted to formally introduce myself. I am Kosha. I'm the owner and founder at Mitti, and I'm also the primary tutor at Mitti. I teach pottery over here, and I also practice my own pottery over here and make pieces to sell, or maybe we have like exhibitions coming up, so I'm always in the middle of creating some stock. So this week's video, I just wanted to take you through the process of how I throw the vases that I make these really big vases, which are assembled vases, or rather what we also call as section throwing. Basically, it's like where I throw different pieces of the whole vase separately, and then I kind of assemble together to make a really big piece. And then I will be painting it and just again taking you through the whole process this whole week. So I usually start my process by sketching it. Being from the design background, I always try to sketch out my ideas. Sometimes the sketches are very elaborate where I'll also color what I want to be there, and I'm not saying I completely stick to the sketch. There are times when the designs really just change from what I had imagined and it comes out very different, but at least I have like a starting point. So yeah, sometimes the sketches are really rough, sometimes they are super detailed, but I always try to start with a sketch. That way it's very clear to me that what I have to make and what do I have to do for every step. So what I'll be doing is I'll be taking you through my sketchbook. I'll also show you my earlier sketches, and then I'll be taking you through when I throw all the pieces and then assemble and paint them. After that, about after 15 days or so, it will go for bisque and lace firing. The finished product you might not be able to see it on YouTube, but I'll definitely be posting it on our Instagram. And let's get to it. Okay, so this is my favorite journal. It's the Fabriano Classic Artist Journal. It's a pretty old journal, and it has been written into a lot of times. So I sketch a lot of designs in this journal. It started from my paint palettes. My pottery was named as Oshkosh Pottery Project before. I started with paint palettes and made a lot of sketches. As I was saying earlier, you can see that I try to put down everything that is in my mind in my sketching journal, so I have much more clear idea. I also write down dimensions of certain pieces, what kind of shape I want, what kind of sketches I want. Also for these mugs, if you see, I've drawn all the patterns that I want to do in future. Small little pajarito sketches, some jars. These are again my section thrown vases that I have made earlier, some mugs. As you can see, I try to do as much detailed sketches as possible, trying to put in all the dimensions and just trying to, as I was saying earlier, get a clarity of what I want to make when I do sit on the wheel. Coming to the section throwing vases, this is the series that I have been working on, and I want to create. I'll be taking you through the process of making this one particular vase, which is on the left hand side. All the three pieces of this will be thrown separately: the top, the middle, and the base, and they will all be assembled together. You can also see the few motifs and sketches that I have made on the surface. Of course, these will change over time, but this is a very basic and rough idea of what I want to create. Okay, so let's start by weighing our lumps and kneading. Just doing some bull's head kneading, which is very difficult with one hand, but that's how I am shooting. But what I'm doing is bull's head or ram's head kneading for each and every lump. These are smaller lumps for smaller sections. Okay, so let's start throwing. We're going to start with the base of it first, which is a very simple cylinder which will be 4 inches in height and 4 inches in width. Apologies in advance for the cut part. As a new YouTuber, I'm yet not very familiar with every camera angle. But what you will be able to observe over here is how I center a big lump. This lump is 2 kgs, by the way, and you'll be able to see how I center it and then make it into a cylinder. So in order to center this, I'm just going to cone this up and down and try to center this big lump of clay. After this is centered, it's now time to open my lump. I start by creating my depth, and I want to keep somewhere around a centimeter of thickness on my base so that later on I can trim it and give it a nicer footring. After my depth is made, I'm just going to take my needle and poke and check the thickness of my base over there. Once I'm satisfied with that, I will open up my lump to the width of my piece, which is around 5 inches. After that is done, I will now start pulling my walls up. I usually take about 2 to 3 pulls to get my final height. My first pull is always just distributing my clay nicely and evenly, and then the last 2 pulls is where I gain my final height. After I'm done with my piece, what I will do is shape it a little with a wooden rib, and I would usually use a steel kidney to clean my walls and remove any kind of slip from the surface. But when I do use a wooden rib, it kind of does exactly the same work, so I won't be using that. With the first part done, it's now time to move on to the second, or rather the middle part. So moving on to the second part, as you can see, I have changed the angle of the camera so that we can see much more clearly what's happening. What I'm doing is first doing a little bit of dry centering. This is a technique that I learned from Florian Gatsby's videos. Whenever I am using any kind of a lump which is more than a kg, try centering really helps me to try to get into a conical shape before I actually start coning it up and down. Following the same process over here, what I'm going to do is first, like usual, I will start with a very basic cylinder, and once my cylinder is made and I've achieved the vertical height and I've distributed the clay evenly, I will start shaping my piece. So after my cylinder is made, now as you can see, I want to shape it into a funnel shape, which is narrower at the base and straight, and then flaring out into kind of this straight bowl kind of a shape. Okay, so now that the second part of my section throwing piece is done, I'm just going to clean up this piece and I want to remove any kind of slip from the surface. This slip will not only make my piece dry very slowly, but it also might cause any kind of cracks in future. So I want to clean it up nicely and then move forward to the third and the final piece of my section throwing. Moving on to third part, now this lump is a much more smaller lump. The earlier two lumps were around 2 kgs, whereas this is only around 400 grams. The usual, I will center it, cone it up and down, and once I have made my cylinder, I will start shaping it. As per the sketch seen earlier, I'm going to shape this piece more like a double-sided funnel, so it will be narrow from the center and flared out from the base and the top. And that's it. We are done with throwing off all the three shapes which are going to be assembled into a vase. Once I'm done throwing comes the most difficult part, and the most annoying part is cleaning off the wheel, but also so necessary. Okay, so that's it for today. Thank you for watching this video. This was part 1 of the section throwing. In part 2, I will be showing the trimming and assembling of these pieces along with the painting that I do with underglazes, after which it will go for bisque firing and then get glazed and finally get fired, and if kin gods are kind enough, it will come out in one piece.